Yo, people, what is good? Apologies for the late start. My bad. Literally, I've been having internet issues for the past couple of minutes. So please accept my apologies. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I think I like this slot. I think I like this 1 p.m. slot. I'm gonna make this a thing every. I'm gonna say every Tuesday. God, see, my internet is acting up again. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and maybe Sunday, I'm gonna try and do 1 p.m. slot. Right? Apology, please, because my internet was higgy, so I need to make sure everything is working up to scratch. Second, I'm just testing to see on my phone to see if it's working. Yep, I'm just waiting for this. People are saying I have that dial-up Wi-Fi, mate. It's Yo, can you not see me now? Let me know if you can see me now. Honestly, this thing is a pain in the backside. It's the worst. It's the worst. It's absolutely awful. It's the worst. Honestly, I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it. I hate it. Yep, I got it on my phone as well, just to make sure you lot can see me. Apologies. I'm so sorry about that. Honestly, this thing is an utter shambles. Like, you don't know what I'm dealing with here. There's no fiber. How can I? This is a flat that I recently purchased last year, and you don't even understand the grief I had. Like, I found out like 2 or 3 weeks before completing with that there was no fiber. Can you imagine, as a YouTuber, there's no fiber in this area, right? And this area is 10 minutes from where I used to live, where I had fiber. So you can see the frustration, man. It really, really, really irks me. So all the suggestions that people are putting in, Virgin, etc., it's all redundant because there's no point. As long as there's no fiber, as long as there's no fiber capability, I will not be able to get the super fast internet. I'm not, unfortunately. So I have to make do with with what I've got, right? So anyway, I think it should be working now. I think it should be working now. I'm looking at my phone here and there and it's working. So yeah, people, make sure as well, as I said, a couple of things for me to start off with. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure as well that you keep your post notifications turned on. So before I was actually interrupted rudely by my internet, I was saying that I'm going to try and stick to the 1 p.m. slot. And I think Tuesday at 1 p.m. is the slot I want to go for regularly now. So look out for that. Every Tuesday, 1 p.m., I'm going to be going live. And I think I'm going to try and replicate on Thursdays and most likely on either a Saturday or a Sunday. Yeah. So look out for that, people. As I said, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the links on socials as well, please, and then just get involved in the discussion. Get involved in the discussion as well. Let me know your thoughts, because I don't want it to just be me talking. I want to actually respond to some of the comments that you're putting into the chat as well. So with that being said, let's actually talk Spurs. Let's talk Spurs because, sorry, let me put it this way because the light is there. Ange Postecoglou has been confirmed as our coach. He's been confirmed on a 4-year deal, which I think satisfies a lot of the concerns people had in terms of the club's supposed belief in Ange Postecoglou, although I don't really think that proves 100% belief. Because when he was, I see Yao in the comments, move, yeah. I'm not interested in talking about Højbjerg today. When the news came out that Spurs had agreed a deal in principle with Ange yesterday, a lot of fans were concerned about the length of time in the contract. They said, if the club really believe in this guy, why is he only on a 2-year deal with an option of a third? Well, that's been quashed now. The club have given him a 4-year contract. Do I really believe that ENIC had a robust and efficient process to find Ange? No, I don't. Do I think that this has been weeks and weeks of rigorous planning? Nope, I don't think either of these things. I think what has happened for me is it's a window of opportunity for Tottenham has arrived with the Scott Munn links, etc., and Spurs not finding success in some of the other managers that they were clearly talking to in recent weeks. They've stumbled across Postecoglou, and they liked Postecoglou's interview and liked what he's about, and they've given him the job. So yeah, I don't really think there was a set process to it. But that being said, I'm not going to use that now as a stick to beat Ange, because Ange is now in the job. Ange is now a new manager and he's here on a 4-year contract. So as far as the longevity points are concerned, I think the club have given him a contract that basically allows him, in theory, enough time to implement what should be a new look Tottenham. So listen, I've given my thoughts on Ange, right? I've given my thoughts on the SPL, etc., but it is what it is now, man. And above all things, I actually think this guy looks a competent coach. Like, if I was to remove the incredibly crap league that is the SPL, if I was to remove the fact that he was managing the best team in the SPL, etc., if I'm looking at it purely from a coaching perspective, I think the guy can coach. And what I mean by that is I think he can set up his teams to attack games well, to control games well. And I like his personality. I'm not going to lie to you. he's sort of winning me over with some of the videos I've seen of him delivering speeches to his players and speaking to the press and stuff. I think he's got a personality that I can get behind. Honestly, genuinely, I think he has. I've said it a million times. I'm a passion merchant. I love guys who are passion merchants. Pause. Right? So I love that type of stuff when a manager is so upfront with the fans and actually acknowledges a fan's input into the job that they're doing day to day. So I do like his personality. I really do. But for me, personality alone is not going to be enough for me to deem him a success in this job. It's going to ultimately be what you're able to implement on the football pitch. And there are certain things I want to see from Ange. There are certain things I want to see from Ange Postecoglou. And I think some of those things go hand in hand with what ENIC have to do to sort of supplement Ange. But fundamentally, they're things that I would like to see, right? They're things that I would like to see. Okay, let me just quickly go through some comments. So Raphael says, you got lucky. Ash says, I guarantee you'll love Ange within a month. Honestly, the prop, can I just say, and I'll keep saying, the prop for Ange over the last week has been immense, like absolutely insane. Like the prop is scary. The amount of lengths that Spurs fans are going to for Ange, it's nuts. Because I'm like, you weren't. I didn't hear this 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, the talk of the town was Onslaught. And I was seeing all these think pieces and how Onslaught is the one and how we've been badly missing out on a manager like Onslaught. This, that, and the third. He did this with Koku. He did this with their back line, etc., etc. And now all of a sudden, Ange is this unearthed gem, that Spurs have struck gold on. Like, I'm not even trying to say that he's a bad manager because I don't know enough about him to say that he's a bad manager, but I just don't really know how the narrative has changed from no one really knows much about him to, oh my God, he's the best thing that's ever happened to Spurs. I think it's a bit too much for me. It's a bit too much. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm not trying to dampen fans' optimism of Ange. You can be optimistic, but I just don't like when people are overly optimistic and refuse to acknowledge that fundamentally this is a risk. As is the case with any manager we hire, there is a risk in bringing Ange Postecoglou to the club. There is. There absolutely is. As much as I like his personality, as much as I think he's got good coaching principles, there is a risk with bringing Ange Postecoglou to the club. There is. Nobody can skirt around that. There is a risk for managers coming from the Scottish League to the Premier League. There's a risk. So when I'm seeing all this prop, I'm like, come on, dial it down a little bit, man. Please, like, be happy, but come on. Like, come on. Dial it down a little bit, please. Let's relax, right? Let's relax. Honestly, the fanfare is through the roof. I hope this, to be honest, if there is a positive out of all of this, at least it kind of shows me that the majority of the fan base that I'm observing are ready to give Ange a chance. Obviously, some are already way ahead of that and think he's the bee's knees, but at the very least, they're willing to give Ange a chance, which is one step, right? However, them wanting and willing to give Ange a chance ultimately means nothing if the board aren't willing to give Ange what he needs to become potentially a success at Tottenham. And I think that is basically what my stream is about today. So it's not like a manifesto. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I've literally written down a couple of things, like what I want to see from Ange and how ENIC must empower these objectives, right? So let me just quickly go through some comments and then read the super chat. In fact, let me start with the super chat first. So big up Arman. He says, realistically, do you think he finishes above City, Arsenal, United, Liverpool, Newcastle, Villa, or Brighton next year? I don't know. He's definitely not finishing above City. Definitely not finishing above Arsenal. Definitely not finishing above Liverpool. Definitely not finishing above Newcastle. Definitely not finishing above Man United. Listen, I don't think he's got. I don't expect Spurs to be a top 4 side next year. I don't. Um, I'm not even sure if I expect Spurs to be a top 6 side. I think we should aim to try and finish in the top 6. But with the way it's set up now, and with the amount of work that he's going to have to get through, I think it's time to sort of lower expectations, right? And I'll go through that in my point. I don't expect Ange to be way ahead of all of these teams next year. I just want to see signs that we can get to a point where we can be either punching with some of these guys or ahead of some of these guys in the years to come. Simple. Like there has to be baby steps here, right? There has to be baby steps here. I think expecting what you've mentioned in the super chat is what has let Spurs down. Oh, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to get top 4, you have to do this. But we don't really have the personnel or the infrastructure behind the scenes to achieve it. Right. So for me, I'm not expecting Ange to get top 4 next year. And I'm not even sure if top 6 is a guaranteed expectation. It should be an objective, not an expectation. So yeah, let me go through some comments. As well. So a lot of people are making jokes as well. I've seen so many names. Postecoglou. I'm seeing people calling him a bit of a joke, man. Listen, some of the jokes are funny, but ultimately, I don't want my manager to be a laughingstock, and I think the only way Ange can do that is to shut the haters up and shut the critics up, like myself, right? Because I'm skeptical too. It's up to him to come in and do a job that can actually shut people up. He did an interview, I think. When did he do an interview? He did an interview like a couple of days ago. Where he said that he was considered a joke when he first took over the Celtic job, but the Celtic fan base basically took him in and gave him the opportunity, and that's why he was so desperate to sort of repay their faith. And I hope that we as a club can create a similar sentiment and sort of help push him to be the best he can be. And fundamentally, I hope that the powers that be behind the scenes can also push him to be the best he can be as well. M Trapsy says Hugh called it. Yes, Hugh called it, and I gave him his props on the Big Six yesterday. Ash says the Spurs squad is way too messed up to give Ange a directive to make UCL football. Sort the squad out first. I fully agree. So you know what? I've been waffling for too long. Let's actually get through the objectives. So the way I've phrased these points, right? I phrased them as things that Ange should be looking to do, like things that I want to see. But I'm also recognizing that it's not all entirely down to Ange to help fulfill some of these requirements, right? Or objectives, should I say. So the first thing I actually want to see off the back of this appointment is a different way of playing, right? If I share my screen quickly, I'm going to share what Spurs have said about Ange Postecoglou, right? These are Spurs' words, not my words, Tottenham's words, right? So if I quickly click this and share screen, I do love this share screen function nowadays. Yeah. So the club have said, so Daniel Levy says, Ange brings a positive mentality and a fast attacking style of play. He has a strong track record of developing players and an understanding of the importance of the link from the academy. Everything that is important to our club. We are excited to have Ange join us as we prepare for the season ahead. So I look at this positively and negatively, right? So from a positive perspective, in relation to my point, I need to see a different way of playing, right? If that's what you've been brought in for, I need to see that. Now, it's not going to all be down to him because ultimately you're sort of hamstrung by the players that you have at your disposal if you're trying to implement a new style. And I think the biggest problem at one of the biggest problems at Spurs is we have a complete mishmash of players. We have players that suit different styles, players that can only play in set formations, and above all, players that just aren't good enough in any capacity, right? So Ange has to develop a new way of playing. And now, of course, this goes hand in hand with one of my points I'm going to make around team selection later on. But when I talk about a different way of playing, can you hear? I think you can hear me now. One sec, just making sure. Yeah, you can hear me now. So, when I say a different way of playing, when I've watched Spurs last season, all the progress that I wanted to see under Conte was non-existent. If anything, we got even more defensive, right? We barely were creating chances in the latter months of his Spurs career, right? There was no such thing as a press, right? There was minimal control of football matches. These are things that I need to see reintroduced back into our way of playing. Now, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Even if we buy new players, the fact of the matter is there are still, unfortunately, going to be one or two players that just can't play the way that he wants us to play, right? And Spurs are going to feel that in some games where we try to play the way he wants to play, and we get caught out because fundamentally we just don't have some of the players that are good enough. But it's about trying to play a different way. It's about trying to play a different way. From this upcoming season onwards, I want to see a concerted effort to actually press in a coordinated manner. I want to see Spurs play higher up the pitch. I want to see Spurs try and squeeze teams more often in matches. And I want to see Spurs actually want the football, control a game of football, right? I'm not expecting Tottenham to control games against Man City, against Arsenal, against Liverpool, teams that are significantly better than Spurs at these things. But I want Spurs to make a better fist of these matches against teams that were supposed to be better than, right? Last season, we struggled at home and away in games like Bournemouth, struggling to keep the ball for the majority of the game, struggling at home against Brighton, who are actually a better side in possession than Tottenham, right? Struggling against teams like I'm trying to give other examples. Obviously, we got worked by Newcastle, but I'm trying to give examples lower down the table, right, to illustrate how bad it was. Even Fulham away, we won away to Fulham, but we had no control of that game. We defended well. We had some control in terms of defending, but for the most part, we were just bad football, bad attacking, bad on the ball security, just bad. And we were fortunate to actually win that game 1-0 at Craven Cottage. And these are the examples I'm talking about, right? For me, Ange Postecoglou is not going to be judged by whatever result he gets against Man City. Spurs have been beating Man City at home for the past 4 or 5 years. And what's it led to? What's it led to? What's it led to, right? I want to see a different way of playing. And I think with no Europe this year, you're going to be playing one game a week for the most part, right? Of course, we got the League Cup and the FA Cup, but they're not as long lasting as European football. Spurs don't have European football this season. So in theory, you have more time to get your ideas across. So I want to see a concerted effort to play the way that Daniel Levy, ENIC, and Ange Postecoglou likes to play. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. When I watched, or in fact, when I read up on what he did for Celtic, right? Very aggressive team. Crazy high press, right? The centre backs are basically playing in the opposition's half as the last line of defense, followed by a line of three with the inverted fullbacks and the holding midfielder, followed by the attacking five, the three forwards, right? And the two number eights. Very aggressive team. And again, I recognize that Tottenham don't have players across the different parts of our squad to be able to consistently play this style. But I want to see an attempt to try and play this style. Yeah. An attempt to try and play this style. Like, I get the concerns. I think some of the concerns of Spurs is we don't have the players to play this way and we could get caught out. Okay, yeah, we could get caught out. We could. But I'd rather see us try. Work on it. If you work on it and you're trying, then most likely you'll improve. But evidently, it's something that we haven't really seen coached in the last 12 months at Spurs. We've not seen it. We've not seen it. You don't want me to talk about his European record. Why would I talk about that when he's not in Europe? I already know his European record. It sucks. It sucks. But Conte's European record sucked, and I wanted him. So, yeah, I need a different way of playing. And I think this is not just down to Ange. This is the responsibility of Ange, ENIC, and the new director of football. Spurs need to hire this new director of football ASAP, because now you've got the manager in. The transfer window is going to open soon. He needs to be able to get the players that he needs to actually try and usher in this new way of playing. Right? Ange's job is to coach these players on how he wants them to play, right? But it is ENIC's responsibility to buy the players that fit into the way he wants to play. And it's ENIC's job to move on the players. ENIC and the director of football, it's their responsibility to move on the players that he deems surplus to requirements, right? It's imperative that Spurs get this director of football now ASAP. You've announced Postecoglou. Okay, good. Now get the director of football. Now start working with this man to try and see which players he needs to incorporate his style as best as possible. Leon says, isn't Scott Munn going to be some kind? No, Scott Munn is the CFO, so he's the chief football officer. I don't think that's the same thing as a director of football, right? We actually need a DOF that's going to lead the recruitment strategy. That's what we need. That's what we need, right? So my first point is purely around the way of playing, right? And it links with my second point, working in tandem with the new director of football to bring in players that only fit the club's style and vision. I don't want to see any more square pegs in round holes. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see any player that, oh, he's a centre back, but he could do a job at left back. So let's buy him and play him left back, even though he's a centre back. Oh, he's a wing back, but he could do a job at full back. So he's a specialist at wing back. So let's buy him as a fullback, even though we know that he's not comfortable at fullback. Oh no, he's a centre back, but he can only play in a back three and can only play in a low block. But no, let's buy him and let's play him in a high line, right? I don't want to see this anymore at Spurs. Oh no, he's a central midfielder, but he can only play in a three and he can only play amongst a specific profile of midfielders, right? I don't want to see Spurs buy any more of these players. We already have some of these players, some that we're going to have to work with, and require Ange to try and get the maximum out of them in his system and cater for them in his system. But going forward, we only need to buy players that fit the specific need of the manager and the team, right? Using the centre-backs as an example. If you want to buy a centre-back now, that's why I was so irate when I saw links with Longley, links with Harry Maguire. These centre-backs categorically do not fit the way that Spurs want to try and play, right? Longley may have the on-the-ball quality to play the progressive way that we want to play, but fundamentally, he's a bad defender. He can't defend well enough game to game, and he's not the one that you want to play in a high line because he's not agile. He's not agile. And it's the same for Harry Maguire. These guys will not work if you want to play an aggressive game. If you want to try and squeeze teams, if you want to play further up the pitch, can you imagine Maguire and Longley playing on the halfway line or deep into, or even into the opposition half? They'll get killed. They'll get absolutely killed. So this is what I mean. Buying players that fit the club's vision and Ange's vision, because both should be aligned. The club, the DOF, and Ange, the vision of what they want to see should be aligned. So you should only buy players that fit that strategy. I'm seeing man like Longley and Maguire. I'm like, how does that even fit? What are they going to do when you're trying to squeeze teams high up the pitch? Like, I understand. Listen, there's no justification for it, right? There's no justification for it. The funny thing is, both Longley and Maguire are similar. Yeah, you can make an argument for Maguire being better than Longley, fine. But fundamentally, both seem to be somewhat competent on the ball. They are competent on the ball. Like, they can progress the ball through the lines. Yes, they can do that. But can you defend? Can you defend? Can you defend in a high line? If I ask you to defend outside of heading balls and playing deeper, can you do it? Can you defend in isolated zones? You can't do it. You can't do it well enough. So why are we looking at these guys? Why? Why are we looking at these guys? It's using someone like, even like Weston McKennie. I remember we were linked with him for time, and a player like him, why would you even want a Weston McKennie? If you want to be a team, right, that uses 2 number 8s to join the attack, you want players that are proficient in the final third. You want players that can play with this ball under pressure. Why would you want someone like Weston McKennie? Do you get what I'm saying? Right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, no more square pegs and round holes. We already have players that we now need to cater for, right? Pedro Porro, I don't want to sell him. I think he's a good player, but he can't defend. He can attack, but he can't defend. So now, whatever system Ange sets up, we need to cater for that. We need to cater for that, right? We need to cater for that. Do you get what I'm saying? Harry Kane, if he stays at the club, he can't lead the press. He can't lead the press. So we now need to cater for that, whether we go through the wide players. There's only so many of these players that we can cater for. Even Ndombele, we're hearing that he's going to be given a second chance, which I can't say I'm mad at. I did a video recently on that, so go check that out. Even Ndombele, we know with Tongi, he can only play in a 3-man midfield, in my opinion. Whether it's a 4-2-3 or a 4-3-3, you can't play this guy in the 2, right? So you have to cater for that. But these are players we already have. Some might be sold. Some might and should be sold. Some will be retained, right? Fundamentally, Spurs just need to stop buying players that don't fit the manager's ideology. Simple as. Simple as. That's the point. That is the point. Anyway, people, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Thanks as well for those who are following me on Twitter as well. I recently hit 13K, so thanks for that. I think I'm just like a couple away from 5K on Instagram as well. But yeah, I'm trying to get to 15K on YouTube. That's the most important for me. So people, please, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button now. Share this video as well. Turn your post notifications on as well. But yeah, on this comment as well, when I said I'm worried, I'm somewhat worried, right? We're going to get to the next point. So the next point I want to see from Ange is bravery, right? And what I mean by that is I want to see Ange be brave in his team selections and in his squad makeup, right? I want you to clear this deadwood in a ruthless manner. I want you to do it, right? When Pochettino came in, he tried. He tried with Adebayo. He tried with Soldado. He tried with Aaron Lennon. He tried with all these players. For whatever reason, he tried with Capu. It just didn't work. It couldn't work. So you know what Poch did? He said, he told these guys, you're not in my plans. You're not in my plans, right? And the next summer, Poch was allowed to get rid of 10 players. 10 players left the club in the summer of 2015. 10 players left. I don't want it to be 1 year in before we see a significant chop. I want that to start now. That needs to start right now. We need to make a concerted effort to get rid of players that categorically do not fit the manager's way of playing and are just not good enough for the club. That should be the most important. Are you good enough for this football club? If the answer has already been proven to be a no, get rid of them. You can't do it all in one summer. I hear that. I totally hear that. But you have to try and get as many as you can out the door. Sanchez, goodbye. I need to see him gone. Sessegnon, goodbye. I need to see him gone. Dyer, goodbye. I need to see him gone. Longley, I don't want to see him retained. I don't want to see him retained. Lucas Moura's already left because we know his contract was up. Thank God. Thank God. Lloris has already signaled his intent to leave. Let him go. Take the L. Let him go. Bring in a new goalkeeper. Bring in a new goalkeeper. Tanganga, you need to go. You need to go. Højbjerg, you need to go. Right? Brian Hill, if he's going to be out on loan, get him out on loan. Get him on loan to a Premier League team. There needs Harry Winks, get rid. Lo Celso, sell. No more loans, sell. I've named about like 10 players there already. And that's without mentioning Reguilon. I don't know what's going to happen with Reguilon. I don't know what's going to happen with Reguilon. Does Ange want to keep him? I feel like Reguilon is a bit too childlike in his play, right? But he's someone I didn't mind keeping as backup last year. Do you get what I'm saying? But if the intention is to sell him, then sell him. Move him on. Move him on. Perisic, again, another one I would keep just for the experience and the quality he can provide at the top end of the pitch. But if he doesn't fit the manager's plans, move him on. I've already heard rumors that he wants to leave and wants to go back to Inter. Fine, sell him. I'm not fussed. Genuinely, I'm not fussed. I like Perisic, but I'm not fussed. Move him on if that's the case. Have the attitude to actually do as much as you can to get rid of these players. Get rid of these players. And this is what I'm saying. So as much as it is on Ange to sort of be brave with the club and say, this is who I want, this is who I don't want, it's ultimately, it all goes back to ENIC. All of these points I'm asking for Ange, it all goes back to ENIC because it's them that are going to demand the price set for some of these players. It's them that are going to dictate whether we can take the L on some players, terminate some contracts, etc., etc. Move them on. Move them on. Right? Be brave. Be brave, my guy. And that's just on the deadwood. Right? That's just on the deadwood. On the actual players that are kept, the players that are retained, rotate. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Rotate. Right? Rotate. Use the squad. That was one of my biggest reasons for Conte having to go because his use of the squad was abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. Overplayed certain players, underplayed some players to the point when they were being called upon, they were coming in from the cold and wouldn't give them their best performance, and then they're frozen out again. Like, we can't have that. We can't have that. I understand that there are some players that obviously will need to play the lion's share of games, as is always the case with football, with the best players at a football club. But fundamentally, there are positions in this team that are open to rotation. Fullbacks, open to rotation. It's not just the fullbacks, sorry. Centre-backs, rotate. Midfielders, rotate. Front line, rotate. I've said a million times, Son cannot be an undisputed starter next season. You can rotate him. You can rotate him. There are certain games you don't even have to play Harry Kane, right? I don't know what we're going to do in terms of the attacking positions this summer, right? We have Danjuma's left now. So on paper, we have Richarlison, Harry Kane, Son, and Kulusevski. I imagine at least one more attacker is going to come in, irrespective of what happens to Harry Kane. But then if Harry Kane leaves, then you need to do something in that position again, right? But the key is to rotate, have a fully functioning attack. The over-reliance on Kane this season was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And I hate it. I love the output from Harry Kane, but I hate the over-reliance. And it was the same with Jose, with Son and Kane. I hated the over-reliance. I hate it. When we were at our best under Pochettino, we had a fully functioning attack. We had players capable of scoring double figures, at least 4. We had Son, Dele, Kane, and Eriksen, who could hit double figures across all competitions. And then when we added Lucas Moura in his first full season, he gave us double figures, right? We had a fully functioning attack. We had Kane missing for big spells of the season, and we were still able to score goals because fundamentally the team was able to function well enough. The manager set us up in a way where the team wasn't so dependent on one player, and he was able to rotate as and when required. Rotate. Use some of the younger players. Use Pape Matar Sarr. If Ndombele is going to be kept, because I was hearing that he's going to be kept, rotate him in. Rotate him in. Use the squad. Use the squad. If this is the squad that you've chosen to be happy with to go into the season, right? Use it. Use it. Simple. Right? Rotation is key. The best managers, they rotate. The best manager in the league, yes, I know it's easier said than done when you have a plethora of talent like Man City do, but Pep constantly rotates. Constantly rotates. Right? Rotate. De Zerbi rotates. And obviously he's not even as good as like your Jurgen Klopps and stuff. Rotates. Right? Use the squad. Use the squad, big man, please. But again, as I said, all comes down to ENIC. Attitude when it comes to getting rid of players that he doesn't want and reducing the bloated nature of the squad and bringing in the players that he needs, right? Ultimately, Ange Postecoglou wants to call upon players that he can trust, that he lacks. So it's up to the club to bring in players that fit those characteristics. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, people. Because listen, it's a tough job. Like, I do not envy Ange Postecoglou at all, because the job he has on his hands, it's not easy. It's not easy as well. And especially when you throw the Kane situation into the mix, it's a very tough job. It is. It is. So the best this club can do is at least give him everything he needs, or do as best as you can to give him everything he needs to be a success, right? When I look at what has been shared here, importance of the link from the academy, everything, that strong track record of developing players, blah, blah, blah. Yes, maybe with some of the players that we have now, but don't let this be an avenue for you to spend less and then hedge your bets on Ange making a success out of players that have proven to not work at Tottenham. Let me give you an example. Ryan Sessegnon, he's got a year left on his deal. He has proven that this guy literally has nothing to offer Tottenham. There's nothing that this guy can offer Tottenham that even makes me believe, sorry, got a scratchy back. Yeah, that makes me believe that he should even be retained on the backup places. He's awful. He can't defend. He can't attack. He's injury prone. He's not consistent. He's just awful. He's a bad player, and he's got a year left on his deal. I don't want this. I don't want it to be because Andrew's good at developing young players that, oh no, keep Ryan Sessegnon. There's no reason to keep him. There's no reason to keep him, right? When we're talking about developing players, I want to see Richarlison start scoring goals on that Ange. I want to see Destiny Udogie improve as a player under Ange. I want to see Porro improve as a player under Ange. I want to see Romero improve as a player under Ange. I want to see Pape Matar improve as a player under Ange. I want to see Kulusevski evolve as an attacker under Ange. This is what we're talking about, right? I don't want that to be seen as, oh, you must keep players that are categorically not good enough. Or better yet, I don't want it to be a case of Spurs only now buying players that we have to wait ages and ages and ages to see their potential, right? We need players that can hit the ground running, right? I don't want it to be a case where ENIC use Ange as like their battering ram, their shield. Because I see you. They can't trick me. You know that meme? You can't trick me. You know, on Twitter. You know that meme? They can't trick me. I see right through Ange and I'm looking at ENIC. They're looking at you. Everyone is looking at you. My title speaks for itself. ENIC must not revert to penny pinching, right? We need to see a consistent level of spending. We need to see a consistent level of spending on good players that can improve this team, right? Get it done. No more excuses. No more excuses. No trying to see if Davinson Sanchez can become a world beater again. No trying to see if Eric Dyer can give us yet another renaissance. No, get rid. Bring in proper players. Right? Bring in proper players. I'm willing to give Ange time. That's why my expectations as far as season objectives, top 4, it's not even in my head. I don't care about top 4 next season. Genuinely, I don't. Right? I don't care about top 4 next year. Yeah? Top 6, and that brings me to my next point. My last point, right? Try to get back into the top 6 and make a much better fist of the cup competitions. Right? Try, right? Ultimately, the club are going to have objectives. Ange is going to have his own objectives, right? We've spoken about the sort of footballing objectives, right? Like, what do we want to see? Like, improved style of play, better press, etc., etc. Like, those are the things that I would like to see. But if we're talking about actual metrics, like tangible stuff at the end of the season, yeah, I think top 6 should be the aim, but it's not a be all and end all, right? If Spurs don't get top 6, but we've seen a progression in how we want to play as a club, we've seen an improvement in the type of players we want to buy, we've seen a concerted effort to remove the players that aren't good enough, we've seen an improved performance in cup competitions, then that gives us building blocks. That gives us building blocks. And I would be comfortable taking that forward into the following season, right? Ange getting top 6, in my opinion, Ange getting or not getting top 6, in my opinion, should not have a detrimental impact on his job unless it's a drastic underperformance. I'm talking Spurs are playing whack football for the entire season. Ange has been given a lot of the players he's got or he wanted, similar to how Conte was given some of these players, and it hasn't worked. Players are not happy, etc., etc. It has to be a criminal underperformance, like we saw with Antonio Conte this season, for me to say that, yeah, Ange isn't up to scratch, right? The aim should be try to get into the top 6, but it's not the be all and end all. Fundamentally, what is the most important is trying to embed a new way of playing and seeing that evidence on the football pitch. That's the most important. That's the most important. Do that, right? Get rid of the crap players, or start to get rid of the crap players and start bringing in some good players. Start from there. Start from there. Yeah? Start from there for me. Simple. And the cup competitions as well. Listen, maybe I was wrong. In fact, I was probably wrong to expect that Spurs would win silverware with Antonio Conte at the club. I believed that he would actually win a trophy, and he didn't. And that's an L on me. I'm not going to put the expectation on Ange to win a trophy next season. That's ridiculous, right? It's utterly ridiculous. Spurs are only going to be in 3 cup competitions domestically. One being the Premier League, which they have absolutely no chance of winning. The FA Cup, probably unlikely to win. League Cup, unlikely to win. But I want a better performance, better attempt at these cup competitions. Last year, we went out to Nottingham Forest. We went out to Nottingham Forest in the League Cup. We went out to Sheffield United's B team in the FA Cup. I want to see better performances. At least try, right? Outside of the Premier League, we have nothing else to play for. Try and make a better fist of these cup competitions. God loves a tryer, and so do I. Honestly, try. I don't expect you to win it, but try. Try and win it, and then we'll see what will happen from there, right? I think with Ange, yeah, it's all down to what ENIC can do to support him in this aspect. But in your capacity as manager, with what you are hopefully going to be given, I want to see you try. Try and be better in these cup competitions, right? And I want the club to be patient with Ange. I'm going to be patient. Me, myself, I need to practice patience, but I'm going to be patient. Genuinely, I will be patient. And I know that there will most likely be a period where it will be turbulent, but I'm going to try and be patient. I just need Ange to give me a little something back. We need to see signs. Give me something back. Give us something that we can cling on to. And I think the patience will be given. Do you get what I'm saying? But the club need to be patient. They need to be patient in what he's trying to build as a manager, and they need to give him the tools to succeed. Right? I don't want another scapegoating session. I don't. And as I said, for me, Ange being a success or failure is more on ENIC than it is on him personally. Because we've seen several managers not work here to now come to the understanding that even though the managers don't perform at that particular point in time, there's bigger issues at play. There's many issues, right? And the managers change. The playing staff, well, hasn't changed that much, but the playing staff changes. The recruitment staff changes. The only thing that doesn't change is the ownership. So you are the one common denominator in what used to be good for Spurs and now is bad for Spurs. So it's up to you, firmly up to you, to make Ange a success. It's in their best interests. It's in their best interest to make him a success, honestly. What is the point hiring this guy and saying you believe in him and giving him a 4-year contract if you're not going to bring in players that he needs or push the boat out for players that can actually add to the style of play that he sees, right? Simple. This is a ridiculous statement as well, by the way. He says, this manager must get top 4 in his first season or he should be sacked. Look at Eddie, how he got top 4. What a ridiculous statement to make. What a ridiculous statement to make. I can't believe that. Nonsense. You undoubtedly see improvement in on-field performances. That's the only assurance you have. Yep, agreed. Results is more of a gamble, but seeing improvement performances is unquestionable. Agreed. So I'm not looking at it from results. Like you said, I'm looking at performances, right? I'm looking at performances because Spurs got results in the first part of last year, but we were playing awful. And I was trying to wait to see if that would actually improve, if we could actually improve the performances and get closer to the results that we were getting, and it didn't. It just got worse. Abe R says, would Dyer suit better as a DM? Nope. Dyer needs to be sold. I don't want to see him played in any other position. He needs to be sold now. It's enough. I've tried. I've fought the good fight. It's enough. We've tried him at right back. We've tried him in the back three. We've tried him as centre back in the back two. We've tried him CDM. It's enough. It's enough. He needs to go. He must. He must go. He must. Big up Jake as well for the super chat. He says, is Levy having a dig at Conte about the academy? Well, I don't know. I don't know. Do Tottenham themselves prioritize academy players? They lost Noni, right? I can't remember who else is up next that potentially is looking to leave the club. I can't remember his name. It's not just on the managers. It's the club. The club decide which manager comes in, right? If you wanted a manager that prioritized the academy, then why hire win now managers? It's not down on Conte. We all knew what Conte was about. They knew what Conte was about. If you wanted someone that prioritized the academy, then don't hire Antonio Conte. That's it. Mundle. That's the one I'm talking about. Mundle. Yep. Like I saw a tweet retweeted by the Spurs Express. It was from Gary Jacobs' article for the Times, and he was talking about how like Ange has been given. The board have set the expectation to Ange that they expect him to work within his means and all of this. All of this gibberish that indicates that they're going towards a low summer spend, and I don't want to hear all of that. That's not what you should be telling him. You should be telling him, listen, we don't have an endless pool of money, right? But we're willing to spend what it takes within reason to get you the players that you need. Stop penny pinching. I'm sick of the penny pinching. Bruv, sign some good flipping players. I don't even want to swear, so I'm not going to swear. Sign some good players. Honestly. Sign some good players. Already they're saying they want to go towards a Brentford or Brighton model in terms of recruitment. Okay, cool. Find the talent that they can find, but you best be prepared to spend more than they're spending on players. You best be prepared to spend more than they're spending on players. Simple as, right? Because you'd be hard pressed to find these amazing centre backs that are going to improve our back line for 10 million, 15 million, 20 million. No. They're going to cost you big though. You can't get around it. Yes, Spurs can identify good players and get them at a cut price, potentially. We don't know how Destiny Udogie is going to perform, but that might be a masterstroke of a signing, and he only cost 19 million. It might be, right? It might be. Kulusevski, as poor as he was in the second half last year, he's going to be signed for 25 million on a permanent transfer this summer. That is a steal. So there are good players that you can get at a bargain, but fundamentally, you need to have an attitude to spend big when it's required. To spend 40, 50, 60 million on a player when it is required. James Maddison is right there. Be ready to spend big on him. Be ready to spend big. None of this, oh, player A that fits your mold is 40 million, but we're going to get player B who's half as good for 20 million. No, I don't want that. I'm not going to accept that. No. People in the comments saying sell Harry Kane. Listen, I don't want to lose Harry Kane on a free transfer. So if he wants to leave this summer, I would sell him. I would sell him for the right price. I would, as much as it will pay me to lose Harry Kane. I've made my feelings clear on this. I don't want to see Harry Kane leave this club for £0. I think it makes no financial sense, personally. I can understand the logic in keeping Kane for one more season in the hope that, oh, maybe he can fire you to the top four with Ange Postecoglou, and then you make back the 100 million that you would have that you lost this season as a result of not being in the Champions League and stuff. But it just doesn't sit right with me that a player of his caliber leaves our club for £0. No, doesn't sit right with me, and it never will. It never will. So if Harry Kane wants to leave and he has no intention of signing a new deal, I'm selling him this summer. Simple. Simple as. Simple as. Anyway, Saeed is laughing, saying enjoy Maguire. We're not going to sign that bum. And if we do sign that bum, I'm bricking houses. Yeah, I said it. I'm bricking houses. No, I'm lying. I'm not bricking any houses, but something's got to give. That can't happen. That can't happen. Anyway, people, that's my thoughts on Ange. That's my thoughts on Ange. Like, welcome to the club, bro. Yeah. Postecoglou, Big Ange. Bring in Big Ange. Yeah. Let's see what you can do. Willing to give the guy a chance. Hope to see good football, and I hope that it just doesn't end at good football. I want to see signs of progression. I don't just want good football and nothing else. I want to see improvement in some of the other areas, and ENIC have to be the backbone of that. Ange is obviously going to be the face, but ENIC have to be the backbone. Simple. Anyway, people, I'm about to end the stream now. As I said, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Saeed saying check the updates. What does he mean check the updates? Let me just quickly, before I end the stream, Maguire. Let's see. Man said check the updates. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys now on Twitter. Let's see. So Spurs are understood to have made checks on Harry Maguire's. Who cares? So what? So what? Checks mean jack shit to me. Nah, get rid of this guy. I'm seeing what else. Harry Maguire. Let's see. Latest. Spurs are interested in Harry Maguire. Ten Hag could be open to selling him. Blah blah blah. Okay. Okay. Spurs are exploring. It's the same. It's the same. Am I back? I think I'm back. Yeah, I should be back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, this can't happen. This Maguire thing, it can't happen. Sorry. Heads must roll. Genuinely, if Harry Maguire signed at this club, heads must roll. Big man thing. If Ange is asking for Harry Maguire, I might be Ange out. I can't even lie to you. I can't even lie to you, because for me that goes against everything you're trying to do. I'm sorry. No. But anyway, I'm going to talk on Harry Maguire and co later on this week. But people, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for bearing with my crap internet. Thank you for listening to what I had to say on Ange Postecoglou and the club and what happens next. As I said, bring on Big Ange. ENIC, all eyes on you. All eyes on you, right? I'm going to leave it there. People, like, comment, share, subscribe. Take care. ENIC out. Maguire out.